Welcome, everyone, to a new session of our TeTra seminar. Our speaker today is Miyagawa So. He's an associate professor teaching and studying digital humanities, computational, and corpus linguistics, ancient Egyptian and Coptic at the University of Tsukuba in Japan. He's also held research positions, lectureships, and assistant professorships at the Georg August Universität Göttingen, Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and a handful of Japanese institutions, including most recently Kansai University, Kyoto University, Sira University, and the National Institute for Japanese Language and Linguistics. And since this month, he's also an invited researcher of the Kakusei project at its Artificial Intelligence Research Center. Miyagawa So is one of the groundbreakers in digital humanities, certainly in the field of Coptic studies. In 2022, he defended his dissertation at the Georg August Universität Göttingen, entitled Shenute, Besa, and the Bible, Digital Text Reuse Analysis of Select Monastic Writings from Egypt. And his list of publications is too extensive to fully discuss in this short introduction, which could never appropriately cover the extent of his productivity. I'll just say that last month, an article by him appeared in the Journal of Humanities and AI, entitled Explaining Intertextuality Through AI. And last year, he published several articles in journals and contributions in edited volumes, almost all focusing on digital approaches to ancient Egyptian, Coptic, Greek, Japanese, and in collaboration with a number of colleagues, also Sanskrit literature. It stands to reason then that I'm terribly excited to have him speak in our humble seminar today on a little known text, or at least to me, that is the Coptic Apocalypse of Elijah. So the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Andy and Georgia, and thank you so much, everyone, for coming to my talk. And okay, today I will talk about Apocalypse of Elijah. Today I will not talk about any AI stuff, but yeah, for my for my kind of side job, I'm also doing AI stuff and thinking about how can integrate AI into humanities or Coptic studies, but today I will focus only on more traditional, humanities. Actually, AI is not very traditional, but yeah, I will talk about it on another seminar or another talk if there's a chance. Okay, uh, okay, so thank you. All right, I'm Miyagawa and from University of Tsukuba, and I got a position as associate professor in the Division of Egyptology, Research Center for West Asian Civilization, which is a quite new division at this research center. And Egypt is considered as a West Asian country or region in Japan. I'm not so sure, but anyway, yeah, culturally it is very linked to West Asia or be larger West Asia in the Japanese perspective. Okay, yeah, but of course, geographically it is on Africa. But I think today's talk is on the Coptic Apocalypse of Elijah, and specifically on what its surviving manuscripts tell us about the boundaries of scripture in late antique Egypt. The research question of this study is how did the material culture of manuscripts, their script, their codicology, their binding, shape ancient communities' understanding of the boundaries of scripture? The object of this of study is the Apocalypse of Elijah, a Jewish Christian pseudo epigraphon preserved primarily in Coptic. The method is material philology. I would like to treat codicological evidence, scribal practice, and punctuation as primary data, rather than reconstructing an archetype. The sources are four Coptic witnesses, SA2, SA3, SA means Sahidic, and ACH, acmimic, and Sahidic 1. So SA2, SA3, ACH, and SA1. Together with PSI 7, the Greek fragment. The argument I want to advance is that these diverse material configurations reflect distinct local scribal practices, and that together they point toward a permeable canon. The Apocalypse of Elijah is generally understood as a hypothesized Jewish Grundschrift from Hellenistic or early Roman Egypt, recast by Christian editors in the 3rd or 4th century. A Greek original is usually assumed, though this is contested. The Jewish and Christian elements in the surviving text are tightly interwoven, and as Frankfurter showed in 1993, they converge notably with indigenous Egyptian prophetic traditions. The Potter's Oracle is the clearest parallel. The text is listed in Nicephorus stichometry at 316 stichoi, though that figures does not precisely match the reconstructible text. Origen cites an Elijah apocryphon for 1 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 9, but whether that citation refers to our text is debated. The work as we have it falls into 5 chapters. First, fasting and prayer, and chapter 2 is Wars of Kings, and chapter 3 is the lawless one, and the chapter 4 is Tabitha, Enoch, and Elijah, and the chapter 5's theme is Christ's return. The text is dominated by 4 figures. First, the lawless one, a small figure described in striking detail, tall but thin-legged, a tuft of gray hair on an otherwise bald forehead, eyebrows reaching to his ears, and leprosy on his hands. He performs every prophetic sign but cannot raise the dead. Although he transforms between old man and youth, he cannot change the sign on his head, and that sign functions as a countersign to Christ. Second, Tabitha, at chapter 4, verse 1 to verse 6, she rebukes him. He sucks her blood and throws her on the temple, but her blood becomes healing for the people, and she resurrects at dawn. Her name, as Frankfurter noted, echoes the scorpion goddess Tabitiet. And third and fourth themes, third and fourth, Enoch and Elijah described twice. The first descent ends in martyrdom and the resurrection. On the second, they receive spiritual flesh, and the Antichrist, in the text's memorable image, melts like ice from fire. This table, these are 5 manuscript witnesses underlying the study. So 4 Coptic witnesses and 1 Greek witness. Sahidic 2, SA2 is British Library Oriental 7594. It's a mid-4th century Sahidic codex where the Apocalypse of Elijah is bound with canonical texts. And SA3, Sahidic 3 is Papyrus Chester Beatty 2018, 4th to 5th century Sahidic, and crucially, it circulates independently as an oral performance manuscript. It has very interesting feature, which has kind of like divider of syllables. I I will show it later. Um, and acmimic witness is preserved jointly as Bibliothèque Nationale de France, as a Bibliothèque Nationale de France, Copt 135, and folios 12 to 25, together with Papyrus Berlinensis, Papyrus Berlin 1862, folios 1 to 8, and it's 4th to 5th century. And of course, the you know dialect is acmimic, and it is paired with the Apocalypse of Zephaniah. And the last Coptic witness is Sa1, Sahidic 1, which is also from Bibliothèque Nationale de France and Copt 135, folios 26 to 33. And this is also 4th to 5th century codex, and it is written in Sahidic with acumenic influence. And it is also paired with Apocalypse of Zephaniah. And PSI 7 is a 4th century Greek fragment, a divergent recension. Um, the CLM numbers, uh, wait a sec. Yeah, sorry, I put some CLM numbers in my, my notes. Yeah, and all the Coptic codices described um, and kind of the metadata and some photos. I think they are on Paths Atlas. I will show you later. Path Atlas from Sapienza University of Rome. And no single witness preserves the complete text, but together they cover nearly all of it. And Sahidic 2 is mid 4th century codex, and its main contents are Deuteronomy, interestingly, Jonah, and Acts, written in formal literary hand. So many, two Old Testament texts and one New Testament text. But at the end of Acts of Apostles, we find the opening of the Apocalypse of Elijah, but in a cursive script. The cursive script, sorry, what I wrote. No, it's not very cursive. No. Sorry. With that title, it's quite clear script, and with that title and breaking off after just 2.5 pages. Budge, who first cataloged the main script, misidentified this as a colophon, but it was Carl Schmitt in 1925 who first recognized it as the opening of the Apocalypse of Elijah. Um, the hand differs sharply from the literary hand preceding it. Oh, yeah, it seems like the former previous studies described it as a cursive hand, and this hand is different from the first three biblical texts, Deuteronomy, Jonah, and Acts, and them kind of more rough hand. I would say. Um, they scribed Apocalypse of Elijah. The codex was found near Hermopolis Magna, inside the wooden coffin. The codicological fact that matters here is this. Apocalyptic material is bound physically with canonical text that points towards a scriptural authority conceived as a spectrum rather than a strict binary. Sahidic 3 is just a Beatty 2018, which is a papyrus codex dated to the 4th or 5th century, and it consists of 10 leaves in a single quire. Despite its modest physical form, it is the most complete Sahidic witness. It fills in 34 lines that would otherwise be unknown. The papyrus quality is poor, and the scribe appears inexperienced, allegedly, or according to the previous literature. But importantly, Sahidic 3 contains only the Apocalypse of Elijah. It circulates independently, unlike other Coptic codices, unlike Sahidic 2. It breaks off mid-sentence during the Antichrist speech on page 20, but line fillers at the end mark what seems to be an intentional stopping point. two explanations have been offered. First, Pietersma, Comstock, and Attridge in 1981 proposed that the Vorlage itself was defective. But Rundhaug in 2023 suggested instead that the scribe simply miscalculated the page count. But I cannot make a decision so far between these two hypotheses. But very interestingly, for me as a linguist, it's quite interesting that they put the kind of syllable divider here, like these upper dots. For Coptic phonology, this is very, very important resource. But few people talked about it, so first I tried to study the linguistic feature of this codex, but I also got interested in the content. So today I talk about only on content, but yeah, in another day I want to talk about the phonological feature of this codex. By the way, this manuscript photo is on the digital collection of Chester Beatty digital collection, and it has very beautiful triple IF image. So yeah, I'm very thankful to Chester Beatty library. The most distinctive feature of this Sahidic 3 is its punctuation system. It uses two marks. First, raised dots. These divide the text into syllables, which is a novel use. Second, raised slanted strokes. These mark larger lexical units. Also, this is a novel use and very unique. Crucially, these are not grammatical divisions, but more phonological or syllabic. They do not mark sentences or clauses in the usual sense. Instead, they are a system for reading aloud. They enable a lector of only modest skill to deliver the text fluently in liturgical reading, I would say. And Rundhaug puts it this way: its punctuation system finds no parallel in any other non-Coptic manuscript. In other words, Cydic 3 is not just a text, it is a physical infrastructure for oral performance. The errors in Cydic 3 are diagnostic of its production conditions. Three clear types appear. First, I skip at page 1, line 13. The scribe jumped from the word etemka to an identical word one line below, omitted the intervening clause, and later had to squeeze it back in. Second, ditography at page 10, line 11. The scribe began writing hen twice, caught the mistake mid-letter, and left the half-written second letter undeleted. Third, unconstructed omission at page 13. An entire passage about the moon was dropped, leaving a plural pronoun dangling after singular sun, Re, I think. The papyrus itself is poor, twisted fibers and holes, which the scribe simply left as gaps here, 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 here. No, this is, I think, afterward. Yeah, this is also afterward, I think. And yet, this is the interpretive point. The manuscript was carefully preserved, mysteriously, even in fragmentary form. This prophetic text was quite valued, and they tried to perform it in liturgy and so on. So I would say this text was preserved quite as important text in the monastery. And in ecumenic text and Sahidic one, the Apocalypse of Elijah is transcribed alongside the Apocalypse of Zephaniah with no markers separating the two texts. They are treated as a single continuous unit. Academic text is notably, academic witness is notably the only witness that preserves both the original title, T Apocalypsis and Helias, and the ending of the work. Provenance here comes with a complication. These manuscripts have traditionally been attributed to the White Monastery, but Rundhaug in 2023 cautions that there is no concrete evidence for that attribution as a White Monastery codex. The issue is theological as well as archival. Shenute, the White Monastery's most famous abbot, was openly opposed to Apocrypha, as we see in his treatise, I Am Amazed. If these manuscripts really did come from the White Monastery, their presence there would be difficult to reconcile with Shenute's position. Yeah, I took a lot of information from Path's database. Ac- Oh, why I inserted it? Oh, yeah. This is because I'm so thankful to Project. Path Project of Sapienza Università di Roma, led by Professor Paola Buzzi, has its very valuable and comprehensive info of all the attested Coptic literary manuscripts, including these four Coptic witnesses of the Apocalypse of Elijah. All the detailed information of these manuscripts here are recorded in this database and its atlas. And I would talk about more content side. A striking feature across the witnesses is how the narrator is named. In the academic, the narrator is addressed as Son of Man, Pushere and Purome. This produces a Christological and Ezekielian framing in which the narrator speaks with prophetic authority. But in the Sahidic branches, Sahidic 2 and Sahidic 3, the narrator's identity is not specified. The framing is prophetic and homiletic, and the title Son of Man is absent altogether. Rundhaug's evaluation of this is worth quoting verbatim. It is impossible to say which one of the surviving witnesses preserves a text that is closest to the original. The interpretive upshot is significant. This variation testifies to active scribal engagement with the text, not to passive copying. And lastly, PSI-7 is our Greek fragment. It is small, approximately 6 by 6 centimeters, dated to the 4th century, and first edited by Pistelli in 1912. What makes it significant is an asymmetry between its two sides. The verso matches the ending of the academic version of Apocalypse of Elijah, but the recto corresponds to no non-Coptic portion of the text. The inference uh, followed by Ivan Miroshnikov and Somov in 2020 is that PSI-7 represents a divergent recension. The implication for our picture of transmission is direct. The text of the Apocalypse of Elijah was not fixed. It was fluid. Multiple versions circulated simultaneously across linguistic boundaries in late antique Egypt. We can now synthesize the evidence into three distinct modes of transmission. Sahidic 2 exemplifies canonical binding. The Apocalypse is appended to Deuteronomy, Jonah, and Acts in a so-called cursive hand. Here, scriptural authority is treated as a spectrum with great gradations between canonical and non-canonical. Sahidic 3 exemplifies independent circulation. The Apocalypse stands alone with its syllabic punctuation for oral performance. It functions as a living performance script. Academic and Sahidic 1 exemplify apocalyptic pairing. The text is bound with the Apocalypse of Zephaniah in formal transcription as a continuous unit, a recognized apocalyptic dyad. What these three modes collectively show is that the canon was not a fixed boundary. It was a permeable space. Multiple configurations coexisted, each encoding a different scriptural practice. The Apocalypse of Elijah was not just read, it echoed the monastic value. In chapter 1, verses 20 to 22, the text says, "A pure fast releases sin. It heals diseases. It casts out demons. It is effective up to the throne of God for release from sin by a pure prayer." That ethical teaching resonates precisely with the major early monastic sources. Pachomius, in his instruction 1:11, writes, "When I flee to God, weeping and humble with fasting and nightly vigils, the enemy grows weak before me." Stephen of Thebes, in his ascetic sermon, urges, "Be diligent in your prayers and your fast, and the struggle of your heart." And notably, both the Apocalypse of Elijah and Shenute warn specifically against double-mindedness and heads now in prayer. This is a shared monastic ethical vocabulary. The Apocalypse of Elijah is deeply rooted in Egyptian prophetic traditions. The king from the city of the sun at 246 is drawn directly from the potter's oracle from ancient Egypt. The 3.5 years of prosperity, which equals Daniel 7:25 and Revelation 13:5, is applied here ironically to a false peace preceding the Antichrist, not to a genuine messianic age. The saints in this text inherit the pharaonic cosmic function, as Frankfurter puts it. Because of them, the earth gives fruit, the sun shines, the dew falls. Tabitha's blood, functioning as healing, echoes the scorpion goddess Tabichet with Isis syncretism, meaning this tradition continues within the ritual traditions of Isis, now reframed inside the Christian apocalypse. And finally, the last emperor legend, the Tiburtine Sibyl, is dependent on the Apocalypse of Elijah and feeds forward into the late 7th century Apocalypse of Shenute. The culture afterlife of the Apocalypse of Elijah runs across three identifiable texts. First, the Apocalypse of Shenute, catalogued by Van Lent in 2009, where Enoch and Elijah confront the Antichrist and sufferers appear to the rocks. Second, the history of Joseph the carpenter, specifically its Arabic recension, as edited critically by Battista and Bagatti in 1978, which lists four figures slain by the Antichrist as Enoch, Elijah, Scylla, and Tabitha. Philological caveat belongs here. The identity of Scylla is not settled, and Walter Kram proposed already in 1911 that it is a corruption of Sibyl. Note also that this quote appears only in the Arabic recension. Morent's 1951 Coptic edition of the Death of Joseph does not contain this particular passage. Third, the concept of our great power from Nag Hammadi Codex, Codex 6, and its fourth text, I think. Rundhaug in 2023 notes an Antichrist-like figure there, but is careful to speak of parallels without dependence. The overall picture is this: the Apocalypse of Elijah is self-circulated only in the earliest centuries. We have no later manuscripts, but its themes persisted for centuries beyond across different Coptic, Arabic, and para-Coptic texts. To conclude, the Apocalypse of Elijah exemplifies what we might call living literature, text shaped by material constraints, by performative needs, and by local theology. We have seen three modes of reception: Sahidic 2 as canonical supplement, Sahidic 3 as a performance script, Akumimic and Sahidic 1 as apocalyptic anthology. Each encodes a different answer to the question, what is this text for? The canon here is not a fixed boundary. It is a permeable space. Sahidic 3's syllabic punctuation demonstrates concretely how para-biblical texts were read aloud in Egyptian monastic communities. Let me close with Lundhaug's formulation from 2023, his paper. None of the papyrus fragments containing the Apocalypse of Elijah are redundant. They all provide different pieces of the jigsaw puzzle constituted by the circulation of early Christian literature in all its diversity, and in particular its production, use, and transmission in Egypt. A brief note on the accompanying resource, the digital concordance database, currently in preparation, brings the five witnesses together in a single interface: Sidic 1, Sidic 2, Sidic 3, Acmimic, and PSI 7, with apparatus, plates, facsimiles, and provenance markers. On screen, you can see an overview of the planned modules. Sorry, it is not yet published. But we have concordance, witnesses, plates, bibliography, and the raw sources in TI-XML. Yeah, together with a worked example parallel showing Swahili, academic, and English in parallel, plus provisional my Japanese draft. And confidence markers distinguish verified, probable, and tentative readings so that users can calibrate each entry. The site deploys as a single static HTML file for portability. This work is ongoing, so sorry, not yet published. And yeah, I would like to open it, yeah, in the future. So the primary sources are listed here. Yeah, from batch 1912 through Wintermutter 1983. And secondary literature follows from Buckham 1985 through the Paths Atlas, which is a huge resource for this study. And together with Miroshnikov and Somov article on PSI 7, I think oh yeah, maybe I couldn't write it all here, but when I will make a journal paper or book chapter, I will list them there. Okay, so this is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for your listening.
Thank you. Thank you very much so for guiding us through this tradition, for illustrating how the manuscript evidence can offer so much to understand how this text was used, circulated, and how it differed. So really, thank you. For me, it was illuminating. I learned a lot. We now open the Q&A for, well, the session for question and answers. You can either raise your hand physically or write in the chat if you have a question, or raise your electronic hand. I might start as well, kicking us off, because I have a question concerning one of the first slides you showed us when you described the different witnesses. You said that the manuscript tradition, like the no manuscript, has the text in full, right? But that we can still piece the entire text, putting the manuscripts together. Did I get it correctly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Mostly, yeah.
Okay, so putting together all the manuscript, we get a complete text. So there's nothing that indicates that what we have in Greek and not in the manuscript you showed us is not part of the lost text for us.
Yeah. So there are several English and other language translations of Apocalypse of Elijah, and they are based on the jigsaw puzzle of the, text, text which are preserved in three Saidic and one mimic, and yeah, all of them are not complete, but I think mimic is quite huge and most complete, and you can supplement with other Saidic sources. Um, yeah, but for me, Saidic 3 is the most interesting linguistically, but it is not complete. It has um, yeah, it has only several leaves. Um, Yeah, but anyway, we can reconstruct original text from the various sources. But yeah, we need to be careful because maybe they are not from the single origin, but maybe their texts are quite varied from the original one, or like there are kind of tree, genealogical tree. So I don't know which position they have in this genealogical tree of the text witnesses. So yeah, we need to be careful about the translation or interpretation on the like a jigsaw puzzle version of the so-called complete text of Apocalypse of Elijah. But yeah, I think it's quite usual in the late antique manuscript world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned again in your answer the linguistic features of SA3, because that was the other question that I wanted to ask you. So you showed us that we have marks for marking the syllables and some other signs, but is there something else that is linguistically uh, interesting or peculiar? And in general, do we have any markers in the tradition that can allow us to guess or say if the text is translated for another language, for instance? Greek.
Another.
Yeah.
Thank you. First, I would like to talk about the linguistic feature. So I was very interested in the superlinear stroke, like this and this and this. Yeah, many people say these syllabic consonant. It refers to syllabic consonant, syllabic consonant is a consonant which can be the nucleus of the syllable nucleus, in which is famous in several languages like Berber, like Tashilhite Berber language, Indo-Tashilhite language in Algeria. Sorry, I'm or Morocco. I'm sorry. I'm somewhere in the sorry, in the North Africa. Uh, yeah, and if this assumption as a syllabic consonant hypothesis is correct, it's quite interesting linguistically. And this so allegedly syllable boundaries like upper dots corresponding to if this corresponds to syllable. For example, here you can see upper dots and n plus superlinear stroke is surrounded divided by upper dots, so possibly n becomes the syllabic nucleus. So this is syllabic consonant. So this hypothesis is plausible if this observation is correct. So it's very, very interesting linguistically. I don't know. I cannot express this interest. Yeah. So, and there are various interesting features. For example, in Sahidic and acmimic and Lycopolitan and Iambic, maybe? I'm not so sure. Yeah, a bit of Iambic, but less in Boharic. There are, doubled vowel signs like uh, this is whole, so it's not, it's officially double vowel sign, but not interesting. Like where is it? Double vowel signs somewhere. Sorry, I couldn't find it. Yeah, there are two theories that these doubled vowel letters mean whether a vowel plus uh, a glottal stop or a long vowel. Um, but yeah, sorry, I cannot find it on this page. Maybe here. Um, and but I checked everything, every case of this upper dot with double vowel sign, and it seems we can interpret in either way. So it's not so super interesting, yeah, but but it's one of the very interesting more. But this is more and ooh. Mm, sorry, there's no, this is I don't know. It's fragmentary. Sorry, I cannot find the double vowel sign here. Yeah, I'm kind na no, it's amarte, na amarte. Mm, sorry, it's not one word. It's a will. It's a future particle plus amarte verb.
Yes, we
Yeah,
trust
but
you in the fact
there
that
are very
they're there.
interesting things. Very,
We
very
trust you
interesting.
they're there. Thank you so much.
Yeah, also there are many Greek words, but it's very usually in Coptic, like Greek conjunctive, ude, and many other possible tronos, I'm not sure. But yeah, there are many interesting Greek loanwords, but they are quite unusual in Sahidic text. So yeah, yeah. From the loanwords, we cannot say whether this is translated from this Greek text or something. So yeah, we need to study on it more.
Got it. Thank you. I think Hendy has the next question.
Yes, thank you very much. It's a fascinating material. So many questions. I think I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
start with a rather detailed one, which is a very, I mean, it just, when you mentioned the name Tabitha, I was reminded that that name does appear in sort of in some Bibles, in
Mm-hmm.
Acts, but I don't know. So, but not in the Greek versions, but I can't remember what it is. I had to look
Ah,
it up also. And so it's someone who gets resurrected by Peter. So I'm wondering but I don't know enough about the Coptic version of Acts. I'm wondering whether that's the reason why it's copied after Acts, because there might be an association with the name, but I don't know if she appears in the Coptic version. So I don't know
Tabitha.
if that's sort of a random kind of idea. I have no idea if that actually works.
Yeah.
I assume the Coptic one will follow the Greek or something or other. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, that's
Yeah.
something I just randomly wanted to bring up. But just maybe a more generally question in terms of so this kind of text, you show this example of this one manuscript where it's supposed to be recited. In what kind of context I mean, are we considering it recited? Is it in a because you give the options, so liturgical homiletic? Are we thinking in during service over? Well, I assume not during one service, but because it's a relatively long text, so multiple services in a row over days, or what kind of periods? Does it relate to sort of a fasting period in that sense, or do you have
Mm-hmm.
any idea?
Yeah, it focuses on visual fasting and so on. Maybe it is recited in a fasting period, but it's just very hypothetical. Actually, I don't know. But yeah, so 10 leaves in a single choir in Tahidic 3 is these 10 leaves yeah, probably or yeah, seemingly they are cited in some liturgical services and yeah, but it is incomplete and it stopped in the sentence during the Antichrist speech on page 20. So maybe it's intentional because it is stopped in the Antichrist speech, so it's not so good for monastic life. But it includes some yeah, many it emphasizes the values of the fasting and so on. So I think this was recited in kind of situation related to monastic life, maybe daily or I don't know so much. Yeah, we don't have liturgical sources for this manuscript, so
Mm.
yeah, I don't know, but yeah, possibly it is recited in the fasting period. Yeah, it's my hypothesis.
Mhm. Okay, thank you. Can I ask another question, Georgia?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yes, 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 by all means, go ahead.
So, something even more general, which so you brought up so the opposition of Shenute against apocryphal works. I don't and
Mhm.
I don't well I don't know enough about this, so I was wondering if you could say a few words about this and also in relation to the well you mentioned also an apocalypse of Shenute, so it's quite an irony that something I don't know is that the actual title of it or is that something that's in modern
Oh,
scholarship has been given to it?
yeah. I'm yeah, I think it was given title by a modern scholar, or actually I'm not so sure about this, sorry. But it is a part of the Arabic version of Life of Shenute. And but
Ironic.
which yeah, ironic, yeah. And this Apocalypse of Shenute is not included earlier Coptic version of Life from Shenute. Um, yeah, as you said, it's quite ironic, but interesting. Possibly this kind of theme, which is described in the Apocalypse of Elijah, has had been very popular theme among Egyptian monasticisms. And maybe it was like repeated again and again in several texts or several new texts or copied or just maybe intertextuality. But I think the writer or like people who added this Apocalypse of Shenute to the life of Shenute, I think he or she does not know about the Apocalypse of Elijah, but he or she heard it from somebody or in some
Hmm.
situation as a kind of like one apocalyptic or revelational story, and maybe it influenced on it made influence on the Apocalypse of Shenute later.
Hmm. So can you just wondering, so what does Shinute, do you remember what Shinute actually says? I mean, how is he describing these apocryphal works? Is it
Uh-huh.
do
Oh
we
yeah,
know that he's also considering apocalypses such as these?
yeah. I think Van Lent he made the English translation uh, of Apocalypse of Shenute.
Well, I mean
Um,
the homily or what did you mention? I am amazed. You refer to it. What it was
Oh yeah,
Shinute's
yeah,
own
yeah. So
yeah.
ancient, yeah. I am amazed. He described apocrypha as like demonic, um, kind of demonic books. Or I forgot the exact description
Okay, no worries if you
but
don't remember it.
he renounced apocryphal books. So
Yeah.
maybe people did not regard Apocalypse of Elijah as apocryphal books.
Hmm.
Maybe it is one of the kind of it is very Egyptian. It has a lot of Egyptian themes, so maybe it is one of the popular books among monk, and they did not uh, regard it as a dangerous text or something. I'm not so sure, but
Yeah. Okay.
one of my hypotheses.
Okay, I'll look it up. I'm really curious about how he sort of frames this.
Hmm.
And well, I don't know if unless there are other questions, I might just ask something else. Also, this Potter's Oracle is also intriguing. I don't know anything about this really. Can you say a bit more about this as well? Sort of more
Oh yeah,
generally,
yeah, yeah.
what it comes
Oracle
to.
of, yeah, yeah, Oracle of Potter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is it is a Hellenistic Egyptian text. I think it is written. Yeah, I could find I found my PDF. Sorry, like previous literature. Yeah, it is written in Demotic, and it yeah possibly made in the third century BC. And pot, Potter here means kunum. Kunum is like a sheep-headed god who is also a potter, making pots, and especially which was worshipped in the Elephantine Island, uh, yeah, next to us, yeah, or in Aswan. Um, yeah, so this is Oracle of Potter is one of the so-called Chaosbeschreibung, like quite apocalyptic and describes the chaos in the apocalyptic situation. Uh, and it's also kind of political text, which in Typhon was set worshippers as were described as like foreign rulers, and which and they rules Alexandria, and but this Alexandria, the city of foreign rulers, will be deserted uh, while they are killing each other, and Ptah, the god of carpentry, and who is a creator god, who was worshipped in Memphis. He will return to Memphis, um, and so on. This is kind of ancient Egyptians, well, also with some Hellenistic influence, like syncretism with Greek gods. And it's kind of chaos beschreibung, apocalyptic literature, which includes the deserted city of Alexandria and the return of Ptah god to Memphis and so on. And yeah, maybe, so the previous literature says, some of them says, um, Apocalypse of Elijah uh, took this theme from, and there are several parallel, not very clear parallels, but some ambiguous similarity between Oracles of Potter and Apocalypse of Elijah. So yeah, and it's there are several very Egyptian description of chaos in uh, Apocalypse of Elijah, um, like uh, like uh, uh, sorry, yeah, I want to remember that, like yeah, so um so yeah, yeah, it's like um wait a sec. Wait a sec. Yeah, yeah, right, right. The mother who is feeding their child, uh, her child weeps, and the um, um, a, a mother who cannot make a birth will be glad or something like that, or the positions in the societal structure became upside down and so on. And also the Nile River will be bloody red. It was also described in the Old Testament, Exodus and so on. But yeah, there are several similar descriptions of the chaos in Oracles of Potter and Apocalypse of Elijah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thanks very much.
You indeed. I think Lorelei has another question.
Hey, Lorelai.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me, guys? Great. I am, as you may know, all of you, I am not so versed into literary pieces, but this one was particularly good. Thank you so much, so for bringing it to me.
Yeah.
I was very interested about the punctuation system that you mentioned. And of course the dots dividing the syllabs, the syllab, you know what I mean? The syllabus, yes.
Yeah.
The word sep apostrophe also, also the apostrophe that divide words.
Mhm.
And I have perhaps a very precise question because you've dated this text quite early in the 4th to the 5th century.
Mhm.
And I've seen that several times, reverse
Yeah.
schema, a reversed schema, you know, when the schema is drawn from the other
Mhm.
direction. And I was wondering if you could date it and if
Mhm.
it's only, I mean, really specific to 4th and 5th century texts.
Mhm.
Have you seen this reverse schema in other texts? Is it a paleographical
This one.
detail that could be used? Yes, there. Also, I've checked, you know, the whole folios are available in the chest of Beatty library. So I've kind of checked and surveyed it all, and
Mhm.
um, and they were used all over the folios. Do you know if it's used this reverse schema after the 6th century or just after the 5th already? Is it a kind of
Uh,
paleographical detail that can help us to date it? Sorry.
yeah, but yeah, it is very interesting. Thank you so much. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, my mother interrupted. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I don't know so much about this, and it's the first time for me to find this is a kind of reverted schema. So,
Yes.
en sabe,
There's several places where you have also kiem with two in the
mm,
same word.
yeah, Kim.
Uh,
Yeah, the uh, Pitesma said this is like a kind of rough hand or like like not matured hand, and he put it in 4th to 5th century. But yeah, maybe if it
I find
is,
it quite good.
yeah, okay, okay, but y- yeah, but yeah, if it is like characteristic of other period. Yeah, maybe we need to reconsider it. But what do you think? Yeah.
And
Uh,
here, look, there is this Q with the same schema, which is written on the reverse way. You were just down there with, I can see your hand
here,
moving down
here.
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 Yes, here, exactly.
That's very
Yes.
interesting. Yeah, true.
And I think that it's the same on two different manuscripts you've shown. That the same
Mm-hmm.
pattern with this reverse schema is attested in SA3 and SA4, if I'm not wrong.
Okay. Oh, that's true. Yeah. Wait a
But
sec.
I don't know. It was just I've seen the image quite quick,
Sorry.
and I
This is.
don't know
Hmm?
if it was kind of a kind of dating hint, or that it has been produced by the kind of same school or the same. You can see here something like perhaps finishing with Gitze and then Te U Giej also with their hand. Yes, here you
Mhm.
can see the reverse schema is also here.
Yeah.
And is
Right.
it something which is specific to the same school or the same place where the text has been produced?
Yeah, so these are Sahidic, the same Sahidic three.
Ah, okay. Okay,
pages,
so
and
I
this
made a
is
mistake. Okay.
no. But yeah, they are not. This reverse schema are not seen in other witnesses, Coptic
Okay.
witnesses,
Okay, good.
as far as I remember.
So it's the peculiarity for SA3.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a very interesting point. I also do
If
not see it so often. No, this is Saidic one. This is Kumimic. Um, Kaya, yeah, Eao looks like very Akumimic. Aval, yeah, this is
yes.
Akum. But this has no Kima. Aval, Avok. Mm, This do not have Kima. This is a Hori with a stroke. Uh, no, this is Janja, Kima, Janja.
Yes. No, that's a normal kima, yes.
Normal Kima, yeah. And this Saidic one, JJ, not sure. Evol. Here's Enki something. So
Yes,
key.
so it's
Yeah.
a normal one here. Okay.
Maybe I think this Saidic 3 has very special
This one
feature.
is great. Yes, no, really.
And this is Saidic 2. Very beautiful
And also
keyman.
because all pages bears numbers, they are carrying the page numbers on top, so it's really
Oh yeah. It's
good to
the number here.
see. Here's page 4. Yes, it was
Page
page 5, sorry.
4, page 5, yeah.
Yes.
That's wonderful. But very unique, unique manuscripts.
Yes, but because of this uniqueness, just like if you find out that some other river schema are attested somewhere else, it could also be kind of a good hint to identify the scribe.
That's true. Yeah,
Or
you're totally right.
because
Yeah.
it's very unique, so you can really point it and see what makes it special.
Right. Also, yeah,
No,
this
this word
the
sep apostrophe, yes.
yeah, positive, yeah, one separate
It's just
apostrophe.
like before sena, before the verb,
There you
yes.
go.
And then
Yeah.
Yes, this does indeed seem like a very unique manuscript with the punctuation and the syllabus and the reverse schema. So thank you for pointing this
for
out.
bringing it to my
Yeah.
attention. Yes.
To everybody's attention. I think it was new for, if not all, definitely most of us.
Also because it says a lot about the way people were actually taught and people were actually reading texts and how taught to be to write them or copy them. So no, it's good.
Yeah.
Before we slowly wrap this up, I was just wondering, so whether I could ask you about a possible Jewish element, because if I understood correctly at the beginning, you said that there are some, or it was interpreted as with Jewish as a Jewish Grundschrift. So I was wondering whether there are Jewish elements in it or what.
Yeah, it's yeah, actually because the description of the Elijah and the Enoch
Mhm.
and
Okay.
some people in yeah, there are some themes which can be found in the Book of Enoch, and which is well known. So yeah, that's why this manuscript, this text is called some kind of texts which have Jewish influence. But of course, Enoch and Elijah are very popular in Christians too. So I don't think we need to say it is kind of yeah, we don't need to say, don't need to separate Jew, Jewish kind of characteristics from Christian characteristics this time, or maybe Old Testament apocryphal with the New Testament apocryphal themes like Antichrist and so on. Anyway, this is kind of very, I think this came from, Apocalypse of Elijah came from a very popular motif of apocalypse in late antique Egypt, which has some influence from apocryphal literature, Old Testament apocryphal literature, and also New Testament apocryphal literature, and also some ancient Egyptian traditions, and also Revelation, Apocalypse of John, and also Book of Daniel, Book of Enoch, and so on.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. That really explains it well. Unless I missed some question, please join me in thanking our speaker once again. And thank you all of you for joining. And so thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
See you all next time.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Coming.